Monaco Grand Prix is about commitment, and this qualifying, these drivers pushed each other like crazy. It was amazing. Lando Norris, new track record, just an incredible lap from him to capture pole position for the Monaco Grand Prix. So first McLaren pole in Monaco since 2007. And if you missed qualifying, you missed another excellent one. I'm Tim Hauraney. This is Nailing the Apex. Let's get right into it. Post-qualifying Monaco Grand Prix. Lando Norris on the front row, P1. He's been struggling with the brakes in this car for the past few races. And that's a big part of what's been hampering him this season so far. But he really seemed to find the confidence with the brakes over the entire weekend. Going into qualifying, he was gaining more and more confidence throughout the session. And, you know, that's what you want to do in Monaco. So first time since Australia that he's put together a really great lap and just a really great weekend so far. Obviously, it's not over, but he feels that he is driving in a smarter way this weekend. Maybe not in a better way, but a different, almost a type of approach that he's taken to this weekend that is a little bit different than what he's normally used to doing. So he's really taken a, let's call it a fresh mindset into Monaco, but now he's looking for consistency moving forward. Then he'll know if he's had like a bit of a breakthrough because, you know, from the performance side, he has struggled with qualifying ever since, you know, I would say past Australia. He's right. His qualifying hasn't probably been as good as it could be. And I think in Monaco here, he's had a bit of a breakthrough in the confidence department when it comes to that. And I think part of it is the braking and how he gets the car into the corner. So that initial braking phase all the way towards the apex. It's like I always say, right? Like the brakes are the first domino to fall in that cornering phase. He said he's never doubted what he can do, especially when things got tough for him. And I would point back to Bahrain as one of those weekends where things were a little bit challenging for him. I would say also probably Miami as well, maybe a little bit in Imola, but he's never doubted himself. So especially when things got really tough in those races that I had mentioned. And today he really backed that up. He never doubted himself, I think. And I think for himself, you know, that rings true as well. He actually said that in the post-qualifying press conference. He was also asked about taking a break from social media, and I made some notes on this one because it was actually really interesting to hear what he had to say, and it was an interesting question as well. He said he still has his social media accounts. He still does posts. He still texts messages with his friends and stays in contact with people, but he also said that it was a bit of a waste of his life and that he has other things to improve on and would like to take the time to go and do that and not sort of be on social media. I'm sort of paraphrasing the tail end of that. But yeah, he said he was happy to stay away from social media. And I found that really, really interesting. Getting both cars out early in Q3. Let's talk about that McLaren strategy because it was, when we look at it, was a smart thing to do. If you didn't see it, the McLarens went out at the beginning of Q3, put in a representative time, got themselves, obviously, I believe it was provisional pole. And then from there, they went back out early again, this time on the soft tire. The soft tire was in the beginning of Q3 as well. Some teams opted to use mediums throughout this qualifying session, but that getting out early essentially allowed them to do two proper push laps. And that was what was really key to all of this thing, because it was really hard to get a clean lap in the first attempt for a lot of drivers. Charles Leclerc being one of them. We'll get to him in a second, but I think getting out early was a huge thing for them getting pole position here as well, because the 2 laps allow you to settle in. They allow you to understand as a driver, like where you can push, where you can't push, where you should improve on, and that'll set you up better for your final push run, where you really just put everything on the limit, right? So he thinks as well the race could be messy with the mandatory 2-stop. I don't think he's too thrilled now that there's a mandatory 2-stop. I've heard that a lot from a lot of the drivers throughout the post qualifying press conferences that I heard. It did sound like the drivers that qualified, in good, solid points paying positions, they kind of wanted it to be a sort of a procession and back to the old Monaco. But this one, a lot of the drivers are kind of saying like it could be quite hectic. Charles Leclerc, P2, he was pissed at the end of qualifying over the radio, extremely upset. And I think he had every right to be. He had Sector 2 traffic. I believe it was either Sector 1 or Sector 2. We did traffic in the first push lap in Q3. And that first push, it gives you the confidence to take with you into that final lap that you're going to do towards the end of Q3 and allow yourself to take those risks that the driver needs to. He said that the first run of Q3, he had Max in the second sector and lost a bit of time there and lost sort of the confidence to go flat out in the final run. So that first part he's talking about is his first run that he did in Q3. Then the second one didn't go as well because of what happened in the first run. So he was disappointed, clearly, but he wasn't, hyping. So he was disappointed, yes. But I think there's a couple things here because coming into this qualifying session, coming into this weekend, the team wasn't really hyping themselves up. They didn't really think they were going to go quite well here this weekend. But the practice sessions were going really well. And I think for Leclerc, he felt straight away that he was feeling good with this car. And he felt that the team, were wrong about their initial instincts and thoughts about this car coming into this weekend and having struggles. So his thoughts on their run plan, not doing 2 push laps at the end, he didn't know if it would have worked for them or not. But he said that the timed lap, the tires still felt good towards the end of his final timed lap, his final push lap. Kind of sounded like he may have had some tire left to do another one if he had to, and the tire in the car still would have had performance. But he did say that he didn't know that if it would have done anything for them or if it would have made a difference. So how did he feel splitting the McLarens was a question that he got in the post-race press conference post-qualifying press conference. And I think he felt that here he said that here they don't need to compromise with the car, so they can focus just on the low speed. He did acknowledge that they may not look like this on other tracks, so he kind of really downplayed sort of the question of how did he feel about splitting the McLarens, because I don't think he feels that this is a representative time and performance that they can carry with them into the future. So I think the car, like I've always said, it still needs updates. Like Charles said to me in Miami, the car still needs updates. So he was asked a hypothetical question about jumping Lando on the start, and I believe he was reminded of something similar that he had done back in the day. And then he turned to Lando and he said, "quote, let's go, baby." It was pretty funny. It was pretty hilarious. So Leclerc thinks that the race will be chaos, and there will be a lot of strategy that comes into it, but thinks that the cars who are further in the back on different strategies could really wreak some havoc on the race on Sunday. Oscar Piastri, P3, said he thought he has said he thought he'd hit more things this weekend than he had ever hit in his whole career. He felt that his build up to the weekend and his work to dial the car in for qualifying was quite poor, and he felt that he could have done that a little bit better. He was happy with where they were able to get the car too, though, but starting on the back foot didn't really help them at all for this weekend. He agreed with Leclerc's assessment that Sunday could be chaos. He was asked chaos. He said he was asked if it came down to it, would he sacrifice his race to let Lando win? And he asked Lando, quote, "How much are you going to pay me?" It was, again, a pretty funny moment, considering, not a ton of happy drivers in the post-race press conference with Leclerc. And obviously, I'm sure Piastri wasn't totally thrilled about it either. He obviously wanted pole position here, just like Charles did. But yeah, obviously Piastri wants to win the race, so we'll see if there's any chances for him to help Lando, and if he will, we'll see. Piastri obviously leading the Drivers' Championship, and he's being chased by his teammate Lando Norris. So, interesting question. We'll see what happens there. Lewis Hamilton was P4. A really decent qualifying from Hamilton. Does look like he's starting to get more comfortable with the car, considering he had a crash in FP3 and then had to go straight into quali at Monaco. So Ferrari did a lot of work on his car to get it ready for qualifying and had replaced the nose, the front wing, right front suspension, also replaced the entire rear end. So that's including the left and right hand suspension and the gearbox. And at the end of his qualifying, he was handed a grid penalty for Sunday's race. He's going to be dropped 3 places for the Grand Prix, so that would put him P7. Verstappen, Hajar, and Alonso, they're all going to move up a position. So Alonso would then move up to P6, Hajar P5, and Max would be P4. There was some confusion over the team radio between Hamilton and Riccardo Adami, as he was told that Max was on his way up to him. So as they were going out of turn 1 up the hill, and Adami had told him that Verstappen was slowing down. So Lewis started to accelerate again. And then Hamilton and Verstappen, they kind of met almost at the turn in for the apex. And that kind of threw Max's lap off. And obviously Max was upset in the car in the moment. But Hamilton and Verstappen did talk after qualifying. Max did say afterwards that he knew Lewis was put in a tight spot and didn't blame him at all for what had happened. Verstappen P5. The team was doing a lot of setup changes to Max's car between practice sessions, and I think he felt that the changes that they were doing in Q1 even, that they were lacking in the low-speed mechanical grip corners, like where they need to ride the curbs or hop the curbs, and that is a weakness that they have in their car right now, and he really wants them to try and fix that, but they had been putting a lot of work into this car over the weekend, especially through practice sessions. So it looks like they got the car into a somewhat decent spot. But I think also as damage limitation for Verstappen tomorrow, I don't think he wants to lose too many more points to the likes of Piastri and Norris come race time. So we'll see what happens for him. P6 for Hajar, P7 for Alonso. The old boy, he had some fun out there today. It was a great result for him and the team. I think so Alonso, he feels like the new package has really brought a good level of performance to the car. And on that, let's talk about Adrian Newey really quick, because he was at the track this weekend. First time seeing him at a race in Aston Martin colors. So Newey's here this weekend to see how the race team works and what he can do to help with their systems. He's been putting in the hours. Let's just say that. He's been doing a ton of work at the Aston Martin facility, trying to carry on with the 2026 car. But he usually goes in and starts working around 9 a.m. And then as lunchtime, he listens in on what's happening with the 2025 car, because they have a small group that is working on this 2025 car. It is a small group, but Newey takes his lunch breaks with them, talks to them about it, sees what they're doing, and gives them some of his thoughts. And they are going to keep working away on this car for the next few months. And it sounds like maybe some upgrades for the Aston Martin car come Silverstone, but we'll see on that. But then when he's done his lunch, he's getting back to the 2026 car till the end of the day. So he's super locked in on next year's car, and he's super locked in on this team. It's really exciting to see him at the track and in green. But let's get back to Alonso really quick. A few thoughts to finish this one up. With 2 stops tomorrow, team needs to be sharp. I think they may need to take some risk. He feels the team needs to do something differently with their strategy as well. P8 for Esteban Ocon. Great lap in Q2 to punch his way through to Q3. He was very happy at the end of this one, looking at where the team struggles with the front end of the car. They can't turn in as much, can't rotate the car as much. But the team really worked the car over during qualifying to get the balance to him, and he was able to maximize the potential of the car. Really impressive stuff from Esteban in Q3 as well. P9 for Liam Lawson. He's had a great weekend, by the way, and Adam and I will touch on him just a little bit more on Monday. We'll see where he finishes in the race, and we can dive into his weekend a little bit more. P10 for Alex Albon. Was doing a really good job working the tire and getting it in the right window to push on, but his Q2 lap was faster than his Q3 lap, I'm afraid. So something there for the team to figure out, why that was, why they lost grip in turn 1 was an issue for him. He felt that this wasn't his finest job either. His long runs also weren't the best. He was suffering from a lot of graining, he said. So he's going to have he's going to have to pay really close attention to how he races the tire on Sunday. Into Q2 out at the end of that one. So we'll go Sainz P11. Wasn't totally comfortable with the car, and in Q2 they started playing between medium and soft tires, and that had an effect on his confidence with the car. And said at the end that there was just no grip on the tire, and then the track really ramped up, and the soft tire needed to be worked up a lot more. So there was a lot that he's going to need to look into when it comes to what happened here in Monaco and qualifying with how the tires work, because obviously this was a car that could have got into Q3, but again, just trying to understand what was happening between the tires is something they're going to have to lock into. Sonoda P12, tough quali for him, especially when he's out qualified by Hajar and Lawson as well. But again, the Racing Bulls car just does have more drivability than the Red Bull Racing Machine does. Hulkenberg P13. George Russell lost power going up the hill out of turn 1, and the car came to a complete stop in the tunnel. That brought out the red flag. Sounds as though he lost some battery power somewhere. The marshals were pushing him down the tunnel, so the drivers, you may think, for some of you who watch racing or watch racing a lot, like, why doesn't he just bump start it? Well, he's not allowed to. You can't just jump in and try and bump start the car anymore. It's not allowed. Mercedes told me that George had hit a bump and he had lost power coming out of turn 1. Russell did try to restart the car with a few switch changes, but the team said it appears it was an electrical problem of some kind. But yeah, it's tough one for George, because he felt back in the game, he said, after Friday's practice, and Total Wolff said about the entire team and his day, said it was an abysmal day. So that kind of sums that up. Antonelli P15, crash for Kimi, hit the turn 10 wall with the left front and head first into the wall. That brought out the red flag and ended the session. He was sitting in P15, so would have been able to move forward to Q2, but obviously the front end of the car just so destroyed. He wasn't going anywhere. I think tomorrow his and George's strategies are going to be really interesting. Q1 out at the end, Bortoletto P16, Behrman P17. He has to take a 10-place grid penalty for passing Carlos Sainz during a red flag in Friday's free practice session. And he's going to be able to do a lot with strategy, I think, on Sunday. And keep an eye on him and what Haas do with him throughout the race. Maybe he pits on lap 1 and then goes almost to the end and then takes another quick pit stop, and maybe he's able to try and claim a point somewhere. But I think there's a number of different exciting scenarios that I think Oliver Behrman can try. Gasly P18, he's going to move up a spot thanks to Behrman's 10th place grid penalty. Lance Stroll, who was on a flying lap when the red flag was deployed, so he never was able to do the full lap. He was up on his previous laps. He most likely would have carried on to Q2. He's also got a one-place grid penalty for impeding in FP1 on Friday, and then a three-place grid penalty for impeding Gasly. So I'll explain that one a little bit. This is from the stewards, as they said that Stroll was informed that Gasly was arriving on a fast lap at turn 10, and from the radio communications, it appeared that Stroll was not informed or reminded that Hamilton, who did overtake Stroll earlier in that lap, was also coming, and that Hamilton was going to overtake Lance. So Stroll assumed. They're saying that Stroll assumed wrongly that there was only one car to be let by, and when car 44, which was not on a fast lap, went by him, he moved back to the racing line, thereby impeding car number 10, which is Pierre Gasly, which was on a fast lap. Quote, during the hearing, the driver of car 18, who is Lance, stated that he could not tell the color of the car that had overtaken him because of the position of the sun, which we accepted. So when you're coming out of that tunnel, I had said this on a podcast ago, you're blinded by the sun when you come out of the tunnel. Like, you can't really make out what is what. You already have a tinted visor on, so when you're going from light to dark, really dark, back into extreme light, and the sun just hits you at the right, it is really difficult to tell different types of cars and colors. So we'll see if it affects where he starts from, because of with Behrman's 10-place grid penalty. I think Lance will be starting from P19, and Franco Colapinto said that the car was really difficult to drive today, hard in the slower corners, and said that the C5 tire, the car goes backwards. So really difficult session for him. Real quickly, we'll go through some questions because I did get some. This coming from Twitter from Andrew. Who do you think will throw the biggest wrench in the parade tomorrow? Stroll for the win after 2 quick stops. Hey, you never know, right? I mean, it could happen. Don't never say never. But yeah, I think the likes of the drivers who are in the back, I would say the likes of Haas for sure, can really do a lot with Behrman's strategy. Alpine as well. So can the Aston Martin. And then I would say both Alpines could probably really roll the dice on the strategy at the same time. I think strategy is going to be very, very interesting tomorrow. Really interesting. I'm super excited to see how this thing goes. Over on Blue Sky, a few more questions from Dade Murphy. How are we liking the new camera angles, the drone tracking shots, and the one under the barrier? Yeah, really cool. A lot of the new cameras that they've got set up for this weekend, I'm really liking them. The new, like the in-car camera shots that we've got for this weekend are really cool. I think it was Hajar. He's got one that's like on the side of the car, and it's got one of the floating cameras in it. So yeah, really, really cool stuff. I thought what they've done with cameras for this weekend is super impressive. I'm excited to see where they go. From here for cameras, because they keep just improving them as we keep moving on. So it's pretty exciting stuff. That pretty much does it. Hope you all enjoyed Monaco Grand Prix qualifying. I absolutely love it. It's my favorite qualifying of the year. I just love seeing the drivers push each other. I love seeing the drivers really start to up the commitment. You can just see lap by lap by lap, the commitment just keeps rising and rising and rising, and the drivers start taking more and more risk, and they start doing things that they haven't normally done throughout the weekend just to try and see how much faster they can go. So when you're going into a corner consistently at second gear or third gear, and then all of a sudden you start really pushing it, and then you're in third gear or fourth gear going through a corner, and you're like, I'm not too sure if this is going to stick, and you're on the limit. I just think that is just absolutely awesome. It's wicked. So yeah, hope everybody enjoyed Monaco Grand Prix qualifying, and Adam and I are going to be back either late Sunday night, or we'll be back early Sunday morning to review the Monaco Grand Prix.